Welcome back on the AM show. We now contemplate the case of fuel prices, among others, and the drivers' unions and their contestation. They basically want an increment in these prices so that they can break even and at least make a profit. Now, they're also calling the bluff of the Transport Ministry, which is daring the police to arrest them for increasing their transport fares by some 20%. You know, there's been a back and forth, increase or not to increase, and some actually going ahead to increase them. Well, joining us via phone this morning, we have the General Secretary of the GPRTU in the person of Godfred Abulbere. He joins the conversation. Good morning, sir. It appears we've lost him. We'll try to reconnect with him, but it has to do with that long-standing, continuous issue. The transport operators saying we can no longer deal with the situation. Fuel prices are up. The cost of spare parts is up. You have lubricant prices shooting up. You have DVLA, insurance charges shooting up, among others. We are up to our eyebrows and we can no longer take it. But on the other hand, you have consumers on the streets who are also saying the economy is poor, the economy is bad, and we cannot afford to do anything more in terms of transport fares. But where do we go from here? We have Godfred back on the line. Thank you so much for joining the conversation, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
It's good to have you. Now, we know that in recent days, there's been a lot of talk about increasing prices or not. There's been talk about engaging the Transport Ministry. What has been the engagement of the GPRTU so far with the Transport Ministry?
Well, I believe what you've mentioned are all right. There's some serious anxiety for fare increment as a result of the fuel price hikes. So we held a meeting with the minister last Wednesday. And then the factors we had presented to him was supposed to be looked at so that today by 12 o'clock we reconvene and then we conclude on the margin we think we can adjust our fares.
Now, you say there will be a conclusion sometime today on the margins, but we also know that some of these transport operators have already started implementing this. Have you caught wind of that?
Yes, we are aware. I believe quite a handful of them have done some with at Cape Coast, some at, I believe, Takrady. And then that such information got to us, and then we called on the regional chairman to stop that action until we conclude on our fair negotiation.
In the interim, how are your drivers reacting? You are helming the largest operators group in Ghana. How are your drivers reacting? On the back of the very things I mentioned, I'll reiterate, you know better than I do. Fuel prices, spare part prices, lubricants, insurance,
it's a very good
DVLA
question. See, their reactions are just that they even believe leadership is tying with the ministry.
They believe you are in bed with government.
Having the suspicion that maybe we are not dialoguing to their interests with the ministry, because sometimes the delays in reaching the decision is what makes them lose their patience and then they act in that manner.
Hello, Mr. Abulbere, are you still with us?
I'm with you.
I lost the end part of what you were saying.
I said that sometimes it's the delays in reaching the decisions at our meetings that makes them lose their patience and then they act in that manner. But I believe for today, we'll reach a conclusion.
You'll reach a conclusion
whether
today?
We are adjusting by the 10%, by 20%, or whichever margin that we think we conclude.
Okay, I'll come back to you. Hold for me. Let me also bring in David Aguado. He is a PRO for the Concerned Drivers Association. Mr. Aguado, a very good morning to you.
Good morning, my brother.
Right. Now, there have been some unions that have gone ahead to have some increments. The CCTGH has come into the picture at a point, and among others. But We also note that while the GPRTU often represents the bigger faction, you, the concerned drivers, sometimes step out on your own. Do you subscribe, or are you partaking in the meeting today with the GPRTU and the Transport Union? Are you going to be there as well?
My people will be there, but I, David, will not be there. The concern will be part of the meeting.
Okay, I just wanted, the concerned drivers. So the group will be there. It will be represented. Hello, Mr. Agbado.
Yes, sir, my boss.
Okay, so the group will be represented, though you will not be there.
Yes.
Now, I do know that in terms of the percentage requirements, you may have heard Mr. Abulbire just make mention of the fact that today there must be some conclusion, whether 10%, 20%, or whatever. But I also know that you don't necessarily agree with the GPRTU on some of these sticking points. So for you, the concerned drivers, what is a workable percentage and what is not?
The workable percentage is 20%.
Workable is 20%?
Yes.
Nothing less than 20%?
Working with. Come again?
Nothing less than 20%?
Nothing less than 20%, because we have already started with the 20% and we are ongoing. We are taking it today as I'm speaking to you. It's still ongoing. The 30%, the 20% is working perfectly, and we are taking it.
But based on what are you? Based on what are you using the 20%? You know the process. Based on what are you applying the 20%?
Exactly so. The process are, we have 5 components that we use in determining the price. Lubricants have gained 85%. Spare parts over 100%. A cost of a car over 100%. Stationery and printing, that's the insurance, EVLA, everything, have gained 45%. Key and wear, the tires and other things, the batteries and other things, have gained more than 75%. Before the fuel, after the fuel, I don't want to talk about it. I want to argue with the fuel. Within this very year, from January to now, they have increased fuel 6 consecutive times. For that one, I don't want to add it to it. But the component that I just mentioned, all of them have gained tremendous interest in it. And the price is outrageous. But we, the commercial transport operators, are coping with it. As Mr. Bubri just said, that yes, the delayance of the ministry not complying with GPRTU rules. Do you know why? GPRTU have some clause in their constitution. That's 2K. Tells them that when all the transport operators have agreed to increase transport fare, GPRTU should sit with the appropriate government authority. That is in their clause, not the rest of the transport operators clause. It's only GPRTU clause that carries that clause. So, yes, GPRTU can go and talk. But the right thing is that we are due to charge our 20%, as Mr. Abubri just said, because the drivers see the Takrade are under them. The Sunyani are under them. Kumasi is under them. Northern region is under them. I'm talking of in terms of GPRTU. But those people all have increased their transport fares. They are under GPRTU. But they have increased their transport fares because of the delayance. People think the hierarchy, the top hierarchy, are in bed with the government. It is not so. But the delayance of the ministry to act on his mandate, that is what is causing the whole thing.
So if this is what you're saying, then why are you attending the meeting today? You've already gone ahead and you're saying that your clauses do not force you or compel you to adhere to this meeting before you increase your prices. Why then are you partaking in the meeting today?
We must be there and see and hear what goes on over there. And we will also add our voice to the voice of GPRTU to make it solid.
Mr. Agbado, hold for me. Mr. Abulbire, what is your reaction to this? Because there is some suggestion that, look, you keep saying this and there's been no increment, but some of your members have actually gone ahead to push for this increment. What's your reaction?
But I was speaking to you on when you were on his side. I was not hearing the comments that he was saying, so that I can be able to respond appropriately. So I heard him slightly saying that his members will be represented. I don't know by which particular group. But what I know is that it's GPRTU and then the GRTCC who are going to do this fair negotiation today. Concerning whatever I know, have not been part, and I don't think today they will be part.
I see. But he was saying that they would be represented.
I don't know what, but the representation he's referring to is what I don't know yet. But I'm saying that we are going to do our discussions today. And then, at all costs, we will conclude and come out. If they think they can't go by us, then they should have gone ahead to increase their 20% that I mentioned.
But that's what he's saying.
But when we get there, we cannot say that the factors we have laid before them, and then the calculations end up something less than that, we say we'll not take it. We are also dealing with human beings.
But Mr. Abubakar, he is saying that they have gone ahead with their 20%. Did you hear that?
I didn't. That's what I didn't also hear him properly. That's why I was signaling you to let
Okay, so let me take it with you one by one so we don't go back and forth. He's saying, and Mr. Agbado, you can confirm, you have already gone ahead with your 20%, right? Mr. Agbado, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Have you already started implementing the 20%?
Yes, we have already implemented the 20%.
All right. So, Mr. Abubakar, you've heard him. He says they've already started implementing their 20%. Mr. Abubakar, are you with me?
I am with you, but I don't know what is the significance of being part of the meeting today again.
Yes, and that is the same question I posed to him.
Yes.
But he says, he makes the point that it is only you, the GPRTU, you are bound per your constitution and other legal requirements to be in these meetings, and then you are restricted. You have to attend these meetings and Giorgio before you can implement. But he says they are not. Is that correct or not?
I believe he's speaking with reference to our constitution, which is not his constitution. But he shouldn't say that we are banned by it. No. If he's aware, there have been about twice or so that we have reviewed law affairs without recourse to that particular protocol. So he should not talk as if the constitution bans us automatically to go and do that fair negotiation. What he's saying, I believe, was in one, I don't know the current constitution or whatever, but it is not mandatory that we must go there. It is not.
Okay, so then they have already gone ahead, and he talks about this bit. But he also talks about the fact that some of your people have also, in other places, have also moved ahead with increments. Are you
yes, I think I
aware of
confirm that with that. Yes, I've heard that. And then we have provided those who have done that. We've called such regions, especially central and whatever, and asked them to what? Bring the fare back to where it was until we come out officially with the agreed percentage. It's true that some others have gone ahead, and then we are asking them to reverse.
But it means some of them, even now, are still implementing that, right?
We are not too sure. Because the areas where the minister had and mentioned to us, we've compelled them to go back to the old fares.
So your expectations then...
Mr. Ashama, etc. So we have to contact their chairman there and then ask them to reverse. I think that has been done.
All right. In concluding the conversation, I'll start with you, Mr. Agbado. There has been talk about, Duncan Amwa, for example, has said that, look, 10 to 15% is reasonable on the back of the happenings. You have gone ahead to increase by 20%. How do you justify it, especially as you're saying you're not even bound by what will happen between, the parties that are meeting today? Then why even attend that meeting? That's my final bit to you.
Can suggest 15%. DPRA to you, I heard my learned colleague, Dr. Abubakar, saying, yes, they are dealing with women. Yes, we are all dealing with women. But Abusokan people are also dealing with women. They charge abysmally prices when you are going to back the pass. So for them, yes, That's to them. But because we are buying the pack and we are selling it to the consumers, we are selling it with conscience that at least the 20% is good. Because we can go more than the 20%. If you ask my friend, Dr. Abubri, he will tell you that yes, the 20%, even they are not going there with 20%, or they are going there with more than 20%, and they are going to bargain and come to a conclusion of either 20 or 25 or 10 or 15. So that tells you they are not going there with 20% alone. They are going more than that. But the 20% I think is good for us, all of us.
So you're going to stick to your 20%?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Aguado. Let me bring in Mr. Abubire for your final thoughts.
Yes. Well, I think my final thoughts are just about what I said earlier. You know, when you are asked to justify the 20% that you are mentioning, and you want to go by the calculations what we do use at that place there, I don't know how he can justify. The figures we normally use doesn't rely on all the factors, but the factors that have seen increment. It's not about just mentioning all the components that determine transport operations. It's about the factors that have seen increments. Like we talked about what? Spare parts. And the spare parts, basically, when dollar goes up, it affects all spare parts.
But he gave you the percentages. He mentioned each component and by how much, some 80% and all of that. What does that translate into? Every core component has gone up in price.
Yes.
Anyway.
The core components, if they have gone up.
Mr. Abubire, we're grateful for your time. I guess we'll have subsequent engagement after the conclusion of that meeting later today. So we were joined by the PRO of the Concerned Drivers Association in the person of David Aguado, as well as Mr. Godfred Abubire, who's General Secretary of the GPRTU. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this break.